Technologies Academy, I'm in the 12th grade. Well, ever since middle school, I always had an interest in coding, and I saw that Jackson Reed had an IT pathway, and I just wanted to join ever since.
My name is Saron, and I'm here with the Audio Video Production Academy for Jackson Reed High School Network. Making new friends. I think I'm really good at getting different sort of angles in each game.
I feel good. Is that like a time lapse?
I think that I was able to get good angles in each house. And today I'm going to interview all the academies at Jackson Reed. Are you ready? What academy are you guys in? We are in the Biomedical Academy. I'm in the 12th grade.
And I'm in the 11th grade.
And what made you guys join this academy? I was interested in being a pediatric neurologist, and I felt that being in this course would help me prepare myself for college and go down that pathway.
I wanted to learn more about biomedicine and medicine in general, and I felt like this academy could help me with that.
My name is Charity. I'm in the Hospitality Academy, and I'm a senior. I felt like sometimes hospitality gets overlooked. Like you go to a hotel and check in, but you don't really understand the background work of it. And you don't understand what goes into maintaining a business like that. My name is Paige. I'm in the 11th grade in the Academy of Finance. What made me join my academy is I always had an interest in money and finance. So the college course of finance was really sealed the deal. Digital Media Academy, and I'm in 10th grade. So I learned how to create my own portfolio. I learned how to create apps and just designs, graphic designs.
The Information Technologies Academy, I'm in the 12th grade. Well, ever since middle school, I always had an interest in coding, and I saw that Jackson Reed had an IT pathway, and I just wanted to join ever since.
like you go to a hotel, you check in, but you don't really understand the background work of it. And I really want to understand like what goes into maintaining a business like that. My name is Paige, I'm in 11th grade, I'm in the Academy of Finance. What made me join my academy is I always had an interest in money and finance. Finance was really still the deal. This young lady Academy, and I'm in 10th grade. So I learned how to create my own portfolio. I learned how to create apps and just designs, graphic designs.
The Information Technologies Academy, I'm in the 12th grade. Well, ever since middle school, I always had an interest in coding, and I saw that Jackson had an IT background, and I just wanted to join ever since.
That's one. Good evening. Welcome to NAF night at Jackson Reed High School. Thank you all for joining us tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed the ice cream. As you can see from the fair, in the atrium, our teachers and students have been working extremely hard. I am Mr. Williams, one of 2 NAF directors here at Jackson Reed. This is my 13th year here. Although this is my first year as a NAF director, I am not new to NAF. For the past 3 years, my role was a NAF coordinator. Currently I oversee the Hospitality and Tourism Academy. By year's end, I will oversee the Academy of Finance, Graphic Design, and Audio-Visual Production. Fun fact, we here at Jackson Reed will have the most NAF academies in the country, 7. Tonight we have an extensive and engaging agenda. The goal of tonight is to provide everybody with in-depth information. At this time, I would like to welcome our principal here at Jackson Reed, Principal Brown.
All right, good evening, everyone. I am really excited to be here, and I want to thank each and every one of you for coming out tonight as we discuss our NAF academies. And there are a lot of things that I'm really excited about when it is related to NAF, or as it's related to NAF. Because we know that NAF academies, and tonight is an opportunity for each of you to learn a little bit more about our academies, the academy structure, the design, and what it is that we have planned for our children. And the reason I like the academies so much is because we know that the outcomes for academies are better than when students are not in an academy. Academies allow us to take a very complex structure, a very complex organization like a large high school, and we happen to be the largest high school in DC, and we can make it a small learning community. And we can allow our students to be connected, and it helps us personalize learning. And we know that the outcomes for our students that are in academies are much higher. They have higher in-seat attendance rates, they have higher rates of graduation, and we help them with their post-secondary plans. So you've heard me talk, and I share a lot about those 3 things that make students in high school successful. I've shared before around having a goal after high school, having and finding a trusted adult, and having a positive peer group. And the academies do all three. There's very few things that do all three. The academy is one of those structures that allow all three to happen. And that's why I'm such an advocate and am in support of our academies. Because when we talk about goals after high school, the academy helps our students tap into a career or a college pathway that will help them into the career that they choose. So it takes care of number one. When we talk about finding a trusted adult, not only do we have amazing teachers within our academy, but students who are part of our academy have the support of two incredible NAF directors. And those of you who are new to Jackson Reed and are starting to get to know our academy directors, you're going to hear and see why. Because not just the traditional teacher support, but our directors are tasked with meeting with our students. Our directors are tasked with finding out what courses they're enrolled in to make sure that they're matriculating through the program and the pathway as required. And most importantly, it's another person just to check in as they plan field trips, as they plan internships. It's that added layer of support to make sure our students are on track. And the third and final tip, which I always share with our young people, is ingrained in the academy structure. Surrounding yourself with a positive peer group. And you saw in the atrium the positive peer group, students that are like-minded, that are all interested in finance, or they may be interested in design, they may be interested in robotics, and one of the many other things that we have here within our academy. That helps when our students know that they have the support of their peers that are also moving towards the same goal. So tonight we want to make sure that you have more information on the academies. I thank you so much for coming out tonight. And now I'm glad to turn it over to Ms. McClure, our other NAF director.
Is that better? Yeah. Awesome, thank you. I'm so glad you are all here tonight. I'm Ms. McClure. This is my first year at Jackson Reed, although I'm not new to being a director. I was a NAF director at Eastern for 4 years before that, and then taught at Coolidge for 10 years before that. So I'm really excited for the work we have already been doing, and so much that we plan to do for your students and with you in partnership as our families. So, but before we get started, just want to introduce some folks that we see on the stage. We have like a great community already that you're going to be able to hear from by the end of our presentation. So we have, we'll start with our students. We have Al Rahman. He is our president of our Information Technology Academy.
Sorry, y'all. We have Damien Arzakel, who is the president of our Engineering Academy. Paige Fogler, who is president of our Hospitality and Tourism Academy. Finance, I'm so sorry. And then we have Hadley Carr, who's the president of our Biomedical or Health Sciences Academy. Next we have teachers. We have Ms. Kraft, who is one of our two amazing teachers for our health science pathway. Ms. Ward, who oversees our finance, and she's also our CTE chair. I think these are all our teachers. Yes, and then we have parents. We are so blown away by the parent support that we receive here in the academies. We have two of our parents up on stage who've just been such great help. So we have Melanie Molina, and then also Elizabeth Medler. And then thankful for central office staff who have joined us here today. We have Crystal Smith, you'll be hearing from her soon. Melissa Madden, you're also going to be hearing from her. And then Lindsay Bryant is with us here today. And last but not least, we have Iris Wilson. All right. Also, I just want to recognize our BTSO. They provided some of the snacks, and well, actually all the snacks that you guys had today, they provided that all for us. So Lorianne Phillips, Heather Powers, and then Hillary Negro, thank you so much for all your help. And then last but not least, we have some leaders who are really moving forward with this concept of student leadership. So a lot of the work we're doing in the academies is started and implemented with and through students. So we have a couple of student leaders. A lot of them are still in the atrium, and you met them when we were milling about today. But we have Ella Davis, who's going to be heading up some of our equity work within the academies. And then Wesley Boyd, who's our Vice President for Computer Science. And Tahir Garcia, who heads up our environmental club. So glad you're all with us. All right, so our goal here tonight is to really try to help make sense of all these different acronyms and different terms that you've heard. And a lot of the RSVP questions we received, we had a lot of questions about just start from the beginning, like what are these academies? How does this actually work? So we're gonna try to do that here with you all tonight. All right, so the first thing, let's start with CTE. We throw that term out a lot, CTE. It stands for Career Technical Education. It's federally funded. Its program is federally funded through the federal government. And it goes to, for us here in DC, it goes through the Office of State Superintendent, or OSSI. And in turn for the funding that it received to help provide career awareness, career exposure in the high schools and middle schools, we in turn have to provide programming, or we get to provide programming. And so that comes in the terms of CTE academies. When you hear people say, oh, JRTC is a CTE program, or you hear of finance as a CTE program, we're talking about programming that is funded through the federal government that we have to provide and get to provide opportunities for students in those pathways. So breaking that down further, then what is NAF? How does NAF work in this? And so NAF kind of is it's a model, it's an academy model to really streamline and make sure that CTE programming is robust, is standardized across the, not only the city, but across the country. So NAF is a national nonprofit, and they provide academy structures. So the idea is that you go to a health science academy at Jackson Reed, at Coolidge, in Wyoming, wherever you are, you're going to see some standards and practices put in place. And those standards and practices include a course sequence that has built on a robust curriculum, work-based learning, which includes field trips, guest speakers, college tours, shadowships, and then also internships, which is a big piece of what we're going to talk about tonight, because I know there's a lot of questions surrounding internships. So those are kind of the big tenets that all NAF academies have and follow. There's more in the weeds about it, of course, and we'll talk a little bit about it more in a couple other slides. But that's kind of an overview of how CTE is the big umbrella, and then NAF is a way to make sure that the schools are providing students robust programming. And then another acronym that we hear a lot is, just as a sidebar, NAF stands for National Academy Foundation. So if you're wondering what that even stands for, National Academy Foundation. So yet another acronym is PLTW. It stands for Project Lead the Way, and that's the curriculum. When we talk about that robust programming or curriculum, for at least 3 of our academies, they use Project Lead the Way courses to help standardize but also guide student learning in a way that's really rigorous and project-based. So you'll hear Ms. Kraft speak a little bit more in terms of capstone. She'll talk a little bit more about Project Lead the Way as well. All right, so we've not talked about what the actual academies are. You've heard us reference it a little bit. And I also want to just say that the video you saw in the beginning, this PowerPoint, the handouts that you guys picked up at the front table, all that stuff is going to be emailed to you directly as well after this presentation. So especially if you RSVP and I already have your email, you'll get a digital copy of all this. So you can go back and review. We're not going to read every single word because we don't want to be here all night, but at least want to reference and you know that this information is out there for you. And something else I want to point out is that now that we're NAF Academies, because NAF is new to Jackson Reed. Jackson Reed we've had academies historically for many years here, but they just recently become NAF Academies. So the 3 academies that I oversee, just as of last year, newly became NAF. So we're changing some of the language surrounding them. In the past, we've always said computer science. Now you're going to start to hear us say, myself included, start to get used to saying information technology. So the NAF Academy of Information Technology. And you can see we have 3 amazing teachers who oversee that programming. And then you can see our course sequence. And we'll talk about the course sequence more when Ms. Smith speaks, but it's super important. That's a big tenet of the academies, is making sure you're taking the courses in the pathway. You'll notice that for all these academies, the 4th level course, the 4th year, they have an opportunity to take an internship as well. So we'll talk more about that internship. It's called AIP. It's called Advanced Internship Program. Melissa will talk more about that soon. Our next academy, Academy of Health Sciences, traditionally called Biomed, taught by the wonderful Ms. Kraft and Mrs. Zenzo. And you can see the 4 course sequences, again with that internship option that 4th year. And last but not least for mine, we have engineering, our wonderful instructors up top, and then again the 4 levels course sequence. There is an error there. We don't offer aerospace engineering this year, unfortunately, but we do. We are currently offering digital electronics, and again with the internship opportunity at the end. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Brandon to talk about it. Just kidding, so sorry. I'm actually going to invite Ms. Kraft to come on up. So something that's really special, again, talking about that project, Lead the Way, that PLTW curriculum, they boast of a capstone project, the 4th level year. So a lot of questions I got for the RSVP were around the capstone project. And so I asked Ms. Kraft to come up, and she graciously was willing to talk about it for engineering and then also for biomed.
Good evening, everyone. Do we want to stretch? Put up our arms, come on. That blood flow going to the head. How are we doing tonight? Yes, yes, yes. All right. So capstones. That is the cornerstone of all learning from freshman year PBS, or Principles of Biomedical Science. You're going to be so through with all these acronyms. But we have Principles of Biomedical Science in the Academy of Health Sciences of our biomed. But we also have IED, or Engineering, Introduction to Engineering Development and Design for our engineering. So freshman year, you start off through the program and you matriculate to your 4th year. That 4th year will encapsulate not just an internship, but also an opportunity for the AIP, which is something kind of new for us. So we are definitely getting used to understanding how that whole process is supporting our seniors. But in this capstone, so in the capstone, we have several, I guess it's out there. So basically it's an opportunity for the students to actually have a taste of college life. So they're going to be researching. They're going to be doing academic research. They'll be doing lit reviews. They'll be working with clinicians, doctors. On the engineering aspect, they will be working with those who are in the industry. And in doing that, they are going, at least in my division, they look for a biomedical innovation. And in that process, they can actually do their own field research and or tag along the curtails of their mentor and actually work with them on a biomedical innovation. And they will be doing this, they go out into the field around November, and they don't come back to us until pretty much mid-May, where they start tidying up all of the processes that they need to do their presentations to not only to the community of JR, or Jackson Reed, but also to their peers and to other school officials. And we have, and what we call that, the capstone presentation. And we'll have, hopefully this year, more academies that will be presenting outside of engineering and biomed. So with that, these mentors, some of you might be asking, well, who's a mentor? Well, a mentor is anybody that we can consider an expert in that profession, and who can provide expert support as well as guidance and mentorship for our young scholars. So oftentimes, through this whole process, some of our scholars actually get published in the process. And so we've had many students actually get published in university as well as professional journals based upon their rigorous work. So hopefully I touch base on what these mentors do. Some tentative dates. We do a lot of this at the end of the school year, pretty much when everything is being tied up. We also do a seminar where we invite their actual mentor to speak on the behalf of their scholar that they have mentored, but also to talk and give them a little bit of information of what it is that they do, which is another touch point where our kids can learn about the industry and be career ready. So that typically happens prior to our presentations, either virtual or in person. We invite them and they speak to our peers, and parents are also welcome to attend virtually in that sense. And that is it for me.
Thank you, Ms. Craft. All right, friends, so the first Academy course description I'm going to talk about today is Academy of Hospitality and Tourism, also known as AOHT in the building. This was actually the first NAF Academy here at Jackson Reed. And as you can see, yes, we have some alum in the back who graduated a couple years ago. Now they're working for the actual intern employer. So it came full circle, which is amazing. Thank you. And as you can see right here, it's just a course sequence. And we asked that the students take the courses in the proper course sequence. Second academy that I oversee is Academy of Finance. This is the oldest, well, once upon a time it was the oldest NAF Academy in the district. It's been rebranded. It will become a NAF Academy again, and these are the new courses that will be offered as of last year. Now we have the Creative Media Academy, and that is specific to Jackson Reed. This year, we're going to take that one academy and make them into two. They will both be individual NAF academies. One will be graphic design, one will be AV production. Each pathway will have its own course sequence, and as you can see on the screen, they will have to be individualized based on their course sequence. All right, now I would like to introduce Ms. Crystal Smith.
Good afternoon, or evening, right? Good evening. So I'm going to address a few questions. You've heard me mention course sequencing, which is extremely important for students who are going through any of the pathways. So I'm just going to go through the first question. Do students get college credit for their academic courses? The short answer is for certain situations. So the three main ways in which students can get those credits. One, articulated credits. So this is where we work with universities, colleges, and the district to go through our plans of study, our syllabi, our standards to make sure that they line up to what they're teaching at the college level. If it works out, we're able to work out a deal with them where students can get a B or better in specific courses, can get those articulated credits at specific universities, or again, colleges, including community colleges. The second way is project lead the way. So there's a way for students to get credit through taking those individual course assessments. If they score a certain score, and it is pretty high, there are some schools, not all, but there are some colleges that will take those credits in as articulated credits as well, or college credit. And then the last way is through computer science. There are two AP courses. It's the second and third level course, AP Computer Science Principles and AP Computer Science A applications, which will allow students to gain AP credit if they score a certain score on the AP exam. So the schools that we actually have deals with already to do articulated credit. If we go through the list, there are about 3 that we're still working on deals agreements with. Right now, Morgan State, Delaware State, Virginia State University, we can go to the next one. UDCC, which has the most, they've been working with us to cover a large portion of our programs. Marymount, Montgomery College, and we're working on a discussion with them right now. Go to the next slide. Nova, CC, and Norfolk University are all ones that we're still working on an agreement with, but there's an extensive list, constantly changing. If you ever wonder whether or not there's a school on that list that we haven't included, just continue to check in with us or your NAF directors. Second question is, if students don't want to commit to an academy, are they able to take them as an elective? And the short answer is no. The way CTE is written, remember that CTE is a large umbrella, NAF is a part of that, right? So when your students sign up to be a part of Academy, they're committing to complete 4 courses in that sequence. So whether that's the 4th course, that's the 4th level engineering course, 5th level engineering course, or they're signing up to be a part of that year-long internship, they're committing to stay in that program every year. So if they start in their 10th grade year, they decide computer science isn't for me, that's the time when they need to make that change. But after that, they can't hop around. Like you remember when we were in middle school, you took a little art, you might took construction, you might have done something else. They stay within those programs for those 4 courses. Okay. And also, the other thing I wanted to mention is they cannot take them out of sequence. So students can't hop around and decide they want to take Java, which is in computer science A, or maybe I want to do cybersecurity only. They have to take them from the 1st level and matriculate in order from the 1st to the 4th course. Can students be in more than one academy? So the short answer would be that based on what we just talked about, them matriculating through the 4, there isn't room necessary for them to do this. We want to keep them in one academy, so I think the Jackson Reed team has agreed that their students will stay in one academy and not try to double up and do more than that. We already have.
To clarify, we will support students being in more than one academy if they can commit to completing both academies. And we have several students who are doing that right now and are doing it very well and very successfully. So as long as they're able to complete both courses of study.
So yes, and so the last question is, and I think we kind of addressed this one, I think it's there we go. Can students join an academy in their junior or senior year? So senior year, no. Because again, remember students have to complete 4 classes. There's no way for a senior to do all 4 classes. If a junior decides to opt into the program, they would have to double up in their junior year and their senior year. So junior year would be the absolute last time when a student can opt into one of the academies. And I think that's it for me.
Thank you. And Miss Iris Wilson. Come on down. Iris is going to talk about certifications and what can be earned through the academies.
Thank you so much. Good evening. Pleasure to be here. Okay, I'd like to talk to you about industry recognized certifications. It is a priority of career and technical education, the Chancellor, as well as our federal funding under the Perkins Grant, that all of our programs of study offer industry recognized certifications. These certifications are varied, and as you will see, we offer a variety of certifications, approximately 26 certifications we offer industry recognized certifications. As you can see, we offer everything from first aid, CPR, to Autodesk, Rivet, to NCCR, to Adobe Photoshop. I won't read them all. You get the PowerPoint and you will see CDA, AHLEI, Guest Services Professional. These certifications are very important to our students. As you will know, certifications can translate into many different ways for our students upon graduation. They can lead students to immediate employment outside the industry. They can, in the industry rather, they can lead students to actual, what am I thinking, actual credits in the institutions that they matriculate to upon graduation. Many of our certifications translate into 3 or 6 credits upon graduation from high school once they actually enter that program in their post-secondary institutions. So please encourage your students to participate in these certification industry recognized exams that we offer every year. PLTW is an end of course exam that we do offer, Project Lead the Way, and we consider this a certification for our students. Last year, Jackson Reed was extremely they did very well in offering industry certifications to their students, both in your biomedical and your engineering programs of study, as well as your AOHT programs of study. Your new programs of study, as you will see, these are the programs of study here that you have. You have the Academy of Engineering, the Academy of Information Technology, the Academy of Health Sciences, Hospitality and Tourism, and you have 3 academies that we are now fast-tracking. These 3 academies will become academies, full NAF academies, in the spring of 2023, and they are finance, audio-video production, and graphic design and illustration, as Mr. Williams just said. The industry-recognized certifications that are offered here at Jackson Reed include PLTW and, of course, exams, your CPR, first aid, AED certifications, your OSHA 10, your guest services gold certifications, your Adobe Premiere Pro, as well as your Adobe Photoshop certification. The facts about industry recognized certifications are, they are really a verification that your student has actually gained the skills and qualifications and is competent in the area that they have just completed studying. The student can earn this certification not only to help meet their graduation requirements, but also to learn a skill set that will really set them apart from other students in the mastery of the skill. And also, again, as I said, they can be awarded, and many are awarded, college credit upon matriculating to post-secondary institutions. Not all industries use these industry-recognized certifications as a validation of knowledge and skills. So please understand that not all students have to engage in an industry-recognized certification, and there are many other ways in which students can earn credits, such as dual enrollment and articulation agreements, as you just heard. Students also earn through dedicated comprehensive CTE programs, and depending on the CTE program, they can come in the first through the 4th course. In other words, students earn these certifications at various times in their education, in their CTE programs of study. Some of these certifications students sit for in the first level 1 course, and some they cannot sit for until their level 4 course. So it depends on exactly when the student will sit for these certifications, depending upon when that's offered in their program of study. So it is extremely important and valuable that these students really do sit for these certifications. And last year was one of our most successful years, especially after the pandemic, in having students come back to in-person learning and having them actually sit for these certifications. We were extremely successful last year in having so many students actually sit for and earn the industry-recognized certification. So please keep encouraging your students, and students, please keep sitting for these certifications because they are so very valuable to your future in the industries that you choose to pursue upon graduating from high school. Thank you.
So one of the major questions that we always have, well, how do I become an Academy member? How do I join an Academy? Well, there's a few ways that you can join an Academy. One, Going into freshman to sophomore year transition, Ms. McClure and myself will go in with the counselors to every freshman's history class. During that time, we will go through the entire course selection with each individual student. If they're interested in the academy, they will sign up for the first course. Remember, once you're in a level 1 course, you are technically in the academy. Okay, you are technically in the academy. Now, to be an academy completer, you must take all the courses in the proper sequence and have the internship. Okay, that will define the academy completer. How else? This year, we will have on the website each individual academy brochure and sign up. So if you're interested in biomed, you can register online. If you're interested in finance, you can register online. This is a new feature that we would like to provide to everyone. All right? There's a few more ways, but again, we'll send out the PowerPoint. Communication is key, right? How do we get the message out? Well, there's a few ways that we do that here at Jackson Reed. One, being the weekly note. I hope everybody reads that on Sundays. We also have Tiger Media, which our AV Production Academy has really done a fantastic job with. Simultech has their own website and newsletter. So for everybody in engineering, biomed, IT, please get on that server list so you can get the information about that. Remind is a huge one that we use to get in contact with the students. If we're doing a college tour, if we need to get a message out quick, Remind. We've been in the classrooms having every student sign up for Remind, so if one of your students is not on Remind, please have them come see Ms. McClure or myself.
All right, just so we're winding down before we open up to some questions for our panel, but want to explain more about NAF and make sure we're all really clear about that. So just a few benefits of it, and we're definitely going to tackle the whole topic of internships because I know there's so many questions surrounding internships. So first of all, a big component, as mentioned before, is that NAF does, a big hallmark of it is providing work-based learning opportunities. So you're going to start to see on that Remind, on the weekly note, on the Simtech website, in the newsletter, a lot of opportunities for field trips, for college tours. We have one on Friday, for example, to George Mason. So you're going to start to see that come through. We have so many students, which is a beautiful thing, and we have so many seats for a lot of these opportunities. So we are going to be keeping track of students who attend and make sure that all students have opportunities, if not on one trip, then on another trip, making sure that that love is being is made available to all students. But just please stay in the loop with those opportunities as we present them. Also through NAF, there's scholarships for NAF students who earn NAF track certification by the time they graduate. And then, of course, internships and also all the prep that goes into internships. They're not handed them. They have to get their resume together. They have to interview for these opportunities. And then once they graduate, they are part of an alumni network where they get mailing lists of opportunities for internships while they're in college, mentors, scholarships, all those good perks. And then to be NAF track certified, it's a matter of completing your course sequence, completing a 120-hour internship, and then graduating on time. And we track this, realizing I'm not clicking as I'm going. We track this by going on, by each student's gonna have a NAF track account. So if they're new to NAF, if they didn't do it last year, for example, then they're going to be getting on their account this year in the next coming weeks. And once they log into their account, they'll be able to see which courses they've taken, what their grades were, if they've completed an internship or not. And that's a way that we can also wrap around them as directors to make sure that they are on track to get that certification. All right, I'm going to pass it off to Melissa, our last guest speaker, before we open up the panel, and she's going to tell us all about the wonderful world of internships.
Good evening. I'm excited to
share with you all about 2 of the district-wide internship programs that are available for CTE students. The first is the Summer Career Ready Internship Initiative, and second will be the School Year Advanced Internship Program. Career Ready Internships, or CRI, are 6-week internships in the summer. This is our 7th year of CRI that we just wrapped in August. They run from late June through the first week of August, where students can work between 20 and 25 hours per week, depending on their age. Their specific schedule, including whether they're permitted to work outside of standard business hours in the evenings or on the weekends, is determined in conversation with their host employer. This was a really exciting summer because we were able to return to in-person internships for the first time since 2019. So we had fully in-person, hybrid, and fully remote opportunities, but majority, about 80% of our employers, hosted interns either in person or in a hybrid posture. CRI is primarily geared towards 11th grade CTE students. However, we have had some 10th and some 12th graders without a prior internship participate in the past. And this is a collaborative initiative run by both the DCPS Career Prep Team and OSSE's Industry Engagement Team. So on the screen here you see the timeline and requirements for participating in CRI, which, although it's a summer program, span all the way back to the beginning of the school year. So first is that prospective interns need to complete the Tenacity Professional Character Skills curriculum. And there's a couple of different ways that this can be offered through the NAF Academy, but Ms. McClure and Mr. Wims will be sharing that with all NAF students, whether they're participating in a workshop or an elective. Non-NAF students can still speak with them about taking Tenacity, or there are some district-wide remote options in the spring if any prospective interns didn't have the opportunity to complete professional skills training yet. Then there's an online application. This timeline is tentative, so you'll see it's mostly by month, but in the coming weeks it will be finalized and shared. The online application opens in the fall and is usually live through February. It's pretty quick. Students just have to confirm the CTE program that they're enrolled in and their grade level. However, it's extremely important because it helps to inform our host employer recruitment. So all interns are placed with an employer aligned to their career cluster, and if we have a large number of students in one industry, then that informs DCPS and OSSE that we really need to focus on recruiting more host employers in that career field. There is also a payment eligibility process that interns are required to complete, where they need to submit identification and proof of a social security number and proof of eligibility to work in the U.S. If any prospective interns aren't able to complete the standard payment eligibility process, there are alternate stipends available for them, and you can reach out to your NAF director for more information about those. In the spring is when students really get to learn more about who the specific host employers are for this season. So several weeks before the internship period, as students are submitting their resumes for host employers to view, students are also receiving position descriptions. So this is where a prospective intern will see the career field of the employer, a short description of the type of project they'll be working on with them, and it will also indicate whether the internship is going to be in-person, hybrid, or remote, so everyone knows that before they even go into their interview. Interviews take place in March and April on themed days by career cluster. Pre-COVID, these were big in-person networking events, but they have been Zoom interviews for the past few years, and it's gone pretty well, so I think that will probably be the setup moving forward, since there's employers and students from all across the district for this. Following interviews, employers complete a selection form where they rank their prospective interns that they would like to host. And students also complete a feedback form about all of the employers they interviewed with. So there's a mutual matching process, and hopefully everyone ends up with someone they're interested in working with when they receive their official offer letters that students sign indicating they plan to start the internship in the summer. For next summer, internships are slated to run from June 26th through August 4th. The second internship opportunity for CTE students is the Advanced Internship Program. This one is led by OSSI and it's a bit newer. So AIP had its pilot in spring of 2022 and just about a week ago has launched its first full school year cycle. Just like CRI, this is a paid opportunity, but what's unique to AIP is that it's credit bearing. So participants are earning credit for their 4th level CTE course as they engage in AIP. This also means that some of the requirements are a bit more intensive. So participants need to be 11th or 12th grade CTE students, and at the time they're participating, they enroll in this 4th level CTE course, which is their AIP internship. And if they have not already completed their 3rd level CTE course, they need to be co-enrolled at the same time that they're completing AIP. The program is approximately 36 weeks, running from September or October through May, where participants can work 8 to 12 hours per week. And just like CRI, there are in-person, hybrid, and remote opportunities available, but specific schedules are determined in partnership with students and host employers, and of course in collaboration with counselors for AIP, since this is a school year initiative, and participants will either need early release from their last period of the day, or will be working after the school day ends. This is the tentative timeline for next school year, 2023 to 2024's Advanced Internship Program, since the application process is closed for the current cycle. The prospective AIP interns will need to be, at the time they intern, in 11th or 12th grade, and they will need to have passed their level 2 or their level 3 CTE course in the sequence of their program of study. DCPS conducts a review of all transcripts to make sure that AIP applicants will be eligible for the program. There's an online application form which includes a resume upload because employers rely really heavily on the resume review for the Advanced Internship Program, and a similar payment eligibility process that happens in the spring. The interview period, this one will be on Zoom again, takes place in the spring or summer next year, with a similar matching process between host employer feedback and student feedback before placements are finalized in the summer. Placements are tentative until the school year starts because schedules need to be finalized. This is a really big piece that has just been completed for the current AIP interns to ensure that students are enrolled in their level 4 AIP course and that they have successfully passed level 3 or are co-enrolled in level 3 at the same time they're interning. AIP interns receive professional skills coaching throughout the duration of the program, and next year it's expected to run from September or October 2023 through May of 2024, with really frequent touch points for progress monitoring to ensure students can persist through that full duration. So DCPS will be receiving updates of students' attendance bi-weekly, and then at the end of the program and the midpoint of the program, employers are completing an evaluation about interns and a course standards form where they evaluate students' progress on the different standards in that level 4 course. So grades are determined at the end of the program based on a combination of the total hours worked, the employer's evaluation of the intern, and that course standards form. The course standards form is designed by OSSI, but all questions about grading should be directed to DCPS because that is where the final entry is made to a student's transcript. So both internship programs, CRI and AIP, have a very similar framework, which entails 3 components. First is mentorship and supervision from a professional in the student's industry of interest. So all internships are aligned to a student's CTE program of study. Second is industry-specific projects and tasks. So interns are actually working on a meaningful project, not making copies for their employer or any other stereotypes about interns. And the third is continuous professional skill development with the support of their mentors. On the slide here, you see a sample of some of our past host employers for CRI and AIP based on CTE programs. I don't have a specific color block for JROTC, I apologize, but those participants are eligible for internships aligned to the Information Technology Career Cluster because of that cybersecurity component of the pathway.
And the employers that you see with an asterisk here are partners through On-Ramps to Careers, which is a local nonprofit that supports students preparing for careers in STEM fields by offering workshops and preparation for students before and during their internships, and supports with post-employer training and recruitment. So many of our IT partners and some, as you can see, some of our finance and engineering and mass media partners are through On-Ramps as well. So there were a couple of questions on the RSVP form about internship tracking, so I'll just take a moment to address those. So participants who intern through these district-wide initiatives, CRI and AIP, automatically have their internship hours and their evaluation tracked at the district level and sent into that NAF track account so that students can be eligible for NAF track certification. Through August of 2023, there's a COVID waiver on the hours requirement, so it's down to 80, but starting at the beginning of next school year is expected to jump back up to that 120 hours for an internship to be considered complete. If a student is in more than one NAF Academy, they only need to complete one internship to be NAF track certified. Students who complete an internship outside of CRI or AIP can work with their NAF director to get their internship details added to the portal. So definitely can still have something count as an internship even if it's not a part of one of these two programs. Students who are in Ms. Craft's 4th level capstone would fall into that category where we work with the NAF director to obtain an evaluation from the mentor or supervisor and see what the total hours were so that that experience could count as an internship towards NAF track certification. There's also a possibility that we could collaborate with the advanced internship program for next school year to have some paid opportunities if the mentor is willing to go through the host employer recruitment and onboarding processes with OSSI, which would entail a screening call, an employer orientation, and some of these bi-weekly check-ins and reporting information so that students can be paid and get course credit for that. And I will turn it back over to Ms. McClure.
Thank you. We'll turn it over to Mr. Wynn.
All right. Before we do the Q&A, just first, again, like to thank all of you all for coming out tonight. Thank the amazing panel and everybody who showed up. Thank Principal Brown, Director McClure, and all the community members and partners that made this possible tonight. What we will do, we'll take a little bit of time, do some questions. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask, we have 2 mics. You can come down here, ask your questions. We have panel members, experts that can answer some of these questions. So come on down. All right.
So is the internship a requirement to graduate with 120 hours? Is it a requirement to graduate, or is it, what is the requirement to graduate?
Great question. I don't know if you guys could all hear. The question was, is the 120-hour internship, is that a requirement to graduate? What is that for? So it's not a requirement to graduate from Jackson Reed. It is a requirement to get a NAF track certification. So that's part of something where students can get the access to alumni support, internship opportunities, mentorship opportunities when they go off to college. So it's part of that. It's also a component of if you're in either engineering, health sciences, or info tech, it's a component of being an honors graduate. If you want to be an honors graduate for what we've been calling Tech, that's a component completing the 120-hour internship. Great question. It doesn't necessarily, what we want it to be paid doesn't necessarily have to be paid for all students for that to get. Sometimes we're going to have them do work on their capstone, so there's ways around that, although of course we want our students to be paid when possible.
So if you are in the AIP and get credit, do you get credit for the ones outside the AIP and the one over the summer? No, so right now credit is only available for internships that are affiliated with AIP. The summer internship is not credit bearing, and other internships that are just completed that a student does on their own and is added to NAF track is not credit bearing.
So do you get the grade for the capstone if you don't get a grade for the AIP? What's the 4th level grade for?
I'm sorry, can you say the last part of the question one more time?
I don't understand how you get a grade for the internship if you don't do the AIP. Like, what's the 4th level grade in a track?
Got you. So students have an option. When they get to their senior year, they have an option. They can either take the 4th level capstone course. I'll just pick on Ms. Crafts since she's here on the stage. So if they're in biomed, they'll take the 4th level class with her. They'll do the capstone. They'll get a grade. Boom, keep it moving. College is great. And then, or they can do the AIP option where they're working not full time. They're working after school. They're getting paid to do that, and they get a grade. We do have some students who are doing both, which is also an option. So they want to take the capstone course because of the amazing opportunities, the research question they're working through. They want to do the capstone at the end to put on their college application. Like it's something they want to do and opt into, so they're doing both. So I have some students who are doing the capstone, and then after school they're working AIP, and they're getting 2 separate grades for that. We have some students who are doing engineering who are using their AIP for their capstone. Like and that's where we want to go. That's where we're trying to head. It's a case by case if the employer works with us on that. So this one employer through engineering wants to help the kids with their capstone, so they're being paid. It's all in one beautiful family. That's the direction we're trying to head, but it's just really host employer independent. Thanks. Great question.
So this question is also about the internship. So you introduced 2 different types of internships. One, I think you said is in coordination with OSCE and another partner. And then you talked about the AIP internship. So the students, I just want to get clarification. So students can only get credit for the AIP internship and not the one in the summer. Is that correct?
Correct, yes. The AIP is a full school year, and that one's credit bearing. The summer one is just 6 weeks, paid but not credit bearing.
And how is the 6-week one for the summer tied into the NAF academies?
So students can still get NAF track certification for that one, even though they're not getting a grade for it.
Where can I get a list of all of the certifications that DCPS has to offer? And just general information about those certifications.
Thank you. You will receive a copy of the PowerPoint, and the PowerPoint has the 26 certifications that DCPS currently offers.
Okay, so along with the names of the certifications, we'll get like a brief description of like what those certifications are and how we can obtain those certifications.
You can only obtain the certifications for the Academy programs that are sponsored or offered within Jackson Reed.
So I can only get certifications that our school has to offer.
Exactly.
So the 30 certifications that were on the list, I can't get except for the ones that Jackson Reed has to offer.
Precisely.
Okay.
If Jackson Reed does not offer the early childhood education program, you cannot get the child development associate certification, the CDA certification. You can only get the certifications for your engineering, your AOIT programs, your AOHT, your hospitality and tourism programs, those academy programs, your Adobe certifications, Photoshop, Computer Pro, which are really excellent certifications. And I really encourage you to, explore those certifications for the programs that are offered here at Jackson Reed.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome.
I have a question about how many students are in each academy, and are all students guaranteed a spot? Well, when I saw something about a first come, first served process, so is there room for anyone who wants to be in the academy today? Oh, sorry, is every student guaranteed a spot
definitely, definitely, if they want to come into the academy program, they should definitely speak with the academy director, either Ms. McClure or Mr. Vince. And yes, I'll let Ms. McClure answer that.
Yeah, so the first part of your question was, now I'm blanking on it. How many? Oh my goodness, that's part of why I'm blanking on it. We have so many students. I think between the two academies, or not two, between all of the academies total, we have over 800 students between the two of us. More than that, but at least, yeah, like at least 800. Some students are doubling up, so that's why I can't give you a clean number, because there's some students in multiple, so it's a bit of a harder count. And for the second question, it's by capacity, it's by how many teachers we have, right? So this beginning of the school year, we had a wait list for engineering and for information technology for the first level course. As schedules changes and shifted, we were able to accommodate most of those students, but whenever we open that up for the first level course, when that application opens up in February, it is a first come, first served basis. So we'll be working hard to communicate with you, like if a student is put on a wait list, where they're at in the wait list, how that wait list is looking, but it's something we always communicate. We're going to continue to communicate with the powers that be about the need for more teachers so we can build more capacity and make sure that students are continuing on through the pathway. Great question.
I heard some things early on that sounded strange to me, and I just wanted to confirm that I heard them correctly. The first I think I heard was that once you've joined an academy, you may not leave it.
So none of us said that, but I would say that brings up a good point. Like, can you leave the academy, or how does that work? So we assume that if you're a part of our family, you've joined our family, we don't want you to leave, we want you to stay, so we will work to automatically schedule you to the next level course. If you want to opt out, if that's something that isn't a good fit, you want to opt out, of course you can opt out. That's a discussion that we'll have with the academy directors, your counselor, and the parent, and you can opt out. Also, if you fail out, you may be asked to leave if you fail the course, because we don't want to damage your GPA if it's not a good fit, and we give so many supports. So if you fail, it's really not a good fit, because there's going to be so many supports offered before you fail. So you're not stuck in the academies if you don't want to be. You can opt out, although we don't want you to, but you can. And then, of course, you may not be invited back if you don't pass.
Okay, the second thing I heard was that students cannot take entry-level courses in an academy unless they're enrolled in that academy, which seems to be extraordinarily limiting for people who want to try something before they enroll. Is that true?
So if students take a first level class, then they de facto are part of that academy. If you're in the first level class, then we consider you our babies right then and there. So because we have limited space and we want students who are, because we do have a waiting list, we do have students who want to join the academies, we want students who take the first level class to be committed to all 4 years.
Okay, so you can take entry-level classes then?
Say it one more time.
You can take entry-level classes then?
Yes, you can. We want you all, the students, to take entry-level classes. We just want the students to complete all courses within that sequence. Right? Does that make sense? We don't want these classes to become quote-unquote electives, where people are just bouncing in and out of the classes.
It's also imperative that our parents and students also understand that entry level, the most productive and effective time is freshman year. Otherwise, course scheduling and other types of things that are requirements that get you across the street to CPS, that's imperative. So it's harder and harder when you try to do that entry later on.
Okay, thank you. And then the last thing I think I heard is that you're not allowed to switch academies, even if you've actually taken a lot of classes in the other academy and could easily fulfill all requirements before graduation.
So you can be in multiple academies. Again, we just want to make sure that the student is completing all the courses in that academy and following the course sequence. So if they're already taking 2 classes, we would like them to take the last 2 classes to become an academy completer.
Okay, so you can switch academies? And what is the process for switching academies?
It wouldn't technically be switching academies because it would be taking, let's say, 2 biomed classes, 2 engineering classes. We would like them to continue on taking 2 biomed. The last 2 engineering classes will be completely both academies.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you very much for the teachers, and thanks especially for the students for coming out and putting on the green shirts, even though most of the questions seem to be doing with administration more than experiences. We'll get you in the atrium. I had a question about the Biomed Academy, but maybe it applies to all of the academies. Thanks for the information about the AIPs, and I saw that you have sort of ongoing relationships with 3 great area institutions, Georgetown Hospital, Children's, and NIH. Good for you guys for taking advantage of those world-class organizations in our area. I kind of had a 2-part question about the process and time windows for internships in the biomed program. So if a student were pursuing an internship with an independent mentor, what is the process and timeline by which they have to submit the concept to the Jackson, Reed, and NAF people to make sure that the proposal is rigorous enough and aligned enough? So maybe I'll let you answer that first, and then I had a question about the other organizations.
So if the student wants that opportunity that they found independently to fall under the umbrella of a summer CRI or school year AIP, the benefits of which would be pay and then credit if it's part of AIP, then the program would need to take place majority within the program timelines. So late June through early August for CRI, or September, October through May for AIP. And then the relationship with the host employer would need to be established by probably April for the summer opportunity. Unfortunately, I can't speak to the specific time for AIP since OSSI does the recruitment for that, so I can get back to you if you share your contact information with one of the directors. But I would guess that would need to be arranged over the summer prior to that school year starting. Now, if the opportunity the student found independently doesn't match with the program timelines and the participant is not pursuing the pay under the CRI or AIP umbrella or the credit under AIP, then there is no real timeline for this, and just as soon as the opportunity is completed, the student can check in with their NAF director to, did I cut out? Sorry. After the opportunity is completed, the student can check in with their director to share where they worked, who their supervisor was, total hours. The employer will confirm that information and complete an evaluation form, and then that information will be loaded into NAF track. So that can be done whenever the internship is complete.
Could you elaborate a little bit more on the evaluation? So if we did do it with kind of an independent scientific organization or an independent medical practice or something like that, what is the evaluation process to make sure that it's rigorous and that there's a fair grade? I'm not concerned about grades or pay, just that the process is rigorous and not rubber.
So NAF has its own evaluation form. The intern is being evaluated on their professional skills and growth throughout the opportunity. So that form would be sent to the supervisor or mentor to complete about the participant.
Sorry, last question. With the 3 ongoing organizations, Georgetown, Children's, and NIH, are the biomed, like internship and research projects, are they kind of continuous, like they have the same types of roles every year, or is it incumbent on the student, on the applicant to find a mentor in a research project? So I guess I'm asking, is there the same thing every year they can plug into, or do they have to go out and be scrappy and go find it themselves?
So with the employer partners that were listed, they tend to have the same theme to their internship project, but it can be geared towards student-specific interests. So, for example, the Georgetown School of Medicine program is about health disparities that students are interested in researching.
Just to add on additionally, as far as some of the research that was taking place in the biomed, again, there is a little bit of a separation between the AIP as well as the actual course where the capstone is. So our students would go out to recruit a mentor and go through a very organized process where they are going through biomedical innovation, where they are doing research with a mentor. Same thing is addressed in our engineering who are doing capstone. So although the opportunities of internships are being mirrored, however, one is more of a curriculum-based as far as content, PLTW, capstone, and other benchmarks that we want to achieve versus AIP, whatever the vision of that host employer is. So there is a difference there.
I would just like to say, as a parent of a senior right now, I'm the person who asked about how to get your internship. Sir, you do have to be a little bit scrappy. Okay? It is there are tools, but you have to be on your game.
And we're going to take, these will be the final 2 questions of the night.
Okay, well, I have 2 really quick, easy questions and then like a real question. So the 2 easy questions, ready for the internship, is that a pass-fail or are we talking A, B, C, D,
A, B, C, D, F.
And then the other easy question is there is a reference to this prerequisite, like professional skills, integrity. I don't know what that is.
Tenacity. So tenacity is a course, is based on preparing our students to be professionals in the workplace. So there's different courses that you take. Some are public speaking, professional writing, resume writing, professional dress. We're just trying to provide the students with everything they need to be successful in the workplace.
Is that something they do online or is it a class that they have to take during the school year?
So some teachers teach, like finance teaches it within the course. A lot of teachers actually do that. And sometimes it's offered after school, it just depends.
Okay. All right, so here's the harder question. Here's the harder question. The internship, which is mandatory but not mandatory. It is not mandatory to graduate from this high school. It is mandatory if you want to get the silver lining of being in the NAF program, which is the official NAF certification. The benefit of getting the NAF certification is that you maybe can have an alumni network later on after you go to college. So the reason why I'm trying to pin this down is because if you have a student who is, for example, doing a DCPS study abroad during the summer, or who's doing a college dual enrollment during the senior year, like what are the trade-offs? What are the benefits of this NAF certification? Should you not do the college credit dual enrollment and instead do the internship, that sort of thing?
One great example is James Cho, who comes to mind. He was going to be a junior, and he was fortunate enough to work with NIH, and if you remember James. And because he made such great connections, he actually reached out back to NIH, and Dr. Wise hooked him up with Dr. Landstrom. Dr. Landstrom decided to do and work with him as a capstone mentor. Dr. Landstrom obviously is a very well-known cardiologist in the world of cardiology. What did that do? That set to a scholarship opportunity at University of Maryland. That also set him up for a job opportunity at NIH. That also set him up to be, and was published as a senior in high school for NIH, as an NIH employer. So there are many other things instead of just, the silver lining. It's not just networking, but it's also the experiences that these students get. Also, if you're going to take an EED engineering course, so if you're going to take my last fourth year course, you have to be involved in an internship. That is what our capstone course is all about. So by making these connections prior to your senior year, you are ensuring yourself already opportunities and doors and windows that are open. Outside of that, I don't know if anybody else wants to add to that, but there's also other things academically that are attached as being a completer of a pathway, being an honors graduate of that pathway, and other types of things that many of our students would love to say that I am an honors graduate of the Simon Tech Academy of Health Sciences. I'm a completer of the biomed pathway, and with all of that to say, the NAF also prepares you for the next level. These kids go to conferences, these kids compete, and I've had kids being offered scholarship opportunities as well as transcribed credit. So it's a world of many opportunities awaiting for them. Not to say it's better than any other, programs, but it definitely puts them in a hot seat, ready for opportunities and knocking at their door instead of them knocking at their door.
Last question. Not really.
So for the third year of engineering, is civil engineering is it going to be available in future years?
So that's a good question. I talked to some parents at back to school night. So for our engineering families, you're going to be getting a form from me in the next couple of weeks, very soon, about essentially a vote for next year of what we're going to do for the third level engineering course. So the options on the table are digital electronics and civil engineering. So we're going to be getting family voice involved in that, and so whichever way it goes, that's the way we're going to offer for next school year for the third level course. So you should see that come through, and we're going to, because we have but so much teacher capacity in terms of what our sections that our teachers teach and what they can teach, we have to make a choice. And so I have a feeling I know what that choice is going to be, but it's going to be based on family feedback to that form that's going to be sent out. Great question.
I don't really know what to speak about, but I did have something to add to your question. So you mentioned that either or, the dual enrollment program and the internships, but I currently actually do both at the same time. So if it fits your schedule, there's no issue with it, and you can take both. I'm Al Rahman, the president of the computer science faculty.
Join the Academy of Finance. I'm Paige, join the Academy of Finance, life skills, it works for everybody. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Habina. I've been in biomed for the past 4 years in high school. During my time, I did 3 internships. I did 2 in my sophomore year, which I did through CTE, and then Ms. Kraft also is really good about sending us, she sends like Google Doc of internship opportunities that we can apply to, so I did one with the FDA. The spring of my junior year, I did it the first AIP cycle, I think. I worked with the Rodham Institute, which is a public health institute for George Washington University, and then I did that in the summer, and now
project, I'm looking for another internship. So it has been a whirlwind of internships and opportunities and knowledge, but it has been a fun one. So I would highly recommend you join.
Hi, my name is Damien. I'm with the Engineering Academy, and I could add also to the question about dual enrollment and internship and which one if you're considering. And I'm also like Al. I'm taking both the internship and dual enrollment at the same time. And I would say if you're trying to decide on one, there's pros to each one. Like my internship, I get really more exposed to like a work environment and kind of like a professional training. And for dual enrollment, you're really like going to a real college class. And I would say, it depends on what your priorities are. If you're trying to get into a workforce like right after high school, you might want to focus on an internship. Or if you're planning to be familiarized with the college environment, or you're trying to graduate early with credits that you get from dual enrollment, then you should take that. There's a lot of good opportunities for Academies.
Alright, we'll hang around if you have any individual questions, you can come up and ask. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining us this evening. We'll be sending all this stuff out as a follow-up.
Bye, Ryan. Have a good night.
I mean, I thought he was still down. Oh, I'll let too. Okay, let's get going.